I'm Tiffany. I actually just completed my junior year at with Clark University. There I study international development and social change and a concentration in peace studies. I also use they, them, she, her pronouns. And I would say the identities that are most, I guess, important to me are on a college, I guess, academic level. I'm a first gen student. And on, I guess, a personal sort of level, um, I identify as queer for both my gender and my sexual orientation. Um, and yeah, and then I'm also a mixed race. I'm Puerto Rican, white, and Native American. So, given the racial tensions that have existed in Southern Africa in such a long time, it was just kind of continually recognizing what it meant for me to be within specific spaces and my comfortability within those spaces and what that meant. I think as a queer person, I was a little nervous going into it. But also, I was nervous in my last semester just because I think that there is kind of like a Western bubble, so to speak, especially with all my intersecting identities in how I can freely operate within spaces, specifically in the US, um, where I haven't really ever felt many senses of danger in expressing my queerness. But I found that the staff and all of my fellow students were super accepting, and I know that that's not always the case with the student part of it. However, the staff is so supportive and made me feel incredibly safe. For me, it was really awesome to have my internship with Outright Namibia, which is an LGBTQIA plus advocacy organization. Um, and I got to not only like meet other queer self-identifying people, but also I was able to explore queerness and learn about queerness in a in a Southern African context with actual queer Namibians and get to have that like firsthand experience at what they're doing for the community and what the community is advocating for and striving for. I would do some reading if you can. There's an incredible book that I bought when I was in South Africa, and it's called They Were Queer, and it has a bunch of poems and stories and like fiction and nonfiction. There's a lot of really cool spaces in Namibia for queer people. Um, there's a place, I believe it used to be called the Warehouse, but now it's called Brewers Market. And it's a very like open, artsy space. And when I had mentioned it at my internship, everyone was saying how it's so cool. It's like a recognized safe space. Um, so I would say do that. Like go there, try to find those spaces. It was really cool to interact with and hear from people that were older, specifically queer people who had lived through the apartheid and into now, and how that all shaped not only their like personal experience just as a Namibian, but specifically within the queer community in Namibia. As someone of a mixed race and also queer, it was a time where I felt most accepted by queer people than I like ever have outside of my own little friend group. I think for me it was really really incredible a to be brown and queer in that space, because I specifically when I met other like queer female identifying people or non-binary people, I just kind of felt like seen and heard and was able to relate on another level with them than I have than I ever have outside of, like I said, my friend group. Um, for instance, when you go to Cape Town, you go on what they call a slave tour, because a lot of history in Cape Town is, and the history of it is built on slavery. And we were taken around the city and given a tour, um, by a woman named Lucy. And she mentioned in the beginning of her tour about like living with her wife. And it was really funny because everyone in the group like turned to me. um, and so I kind of was like, wow, this is like really amazing. And it was the first time that I was like, I don't know, kind of having that like global connection in a sense. And so when it was all over, I went up and asked her, what are some organizations I should check out while I'm here? Um, like, I would love to be able to connect with you, like, after this. And she gave me her business card and then gave me a hug and, like, told me to stay strong and told me that, like, I am seen. Like, that's what she said to me, that she sees me. In my experience, it was really, really safe. And I think that just being open to that and finding those people who look at you and then you look at them, it's like we see each other and we can learn from each other. So, yeah.